What are some of the best strategies on Twitter in 2019 to maximize your reach and to get higher engagement on what you post? First, do photo or video tweets. This makes a big difference. Just sharing links is really a waste of time in terms of reach. Now, imagine this being a link versus this huge picture on here. What I do is I have automation set up. I use Zapier and I automate a bunch of different types of content on my Twitter. Plus, I then have blog to social for my WordPress blog that when I post, it is shared all at once to Twitter and all my other social networks. So I'll show you how these work. I have an automation that anytime I put out a new podcast episode, it automatically puts the title of the episode, it puts a link to my podcast, and then it puts the image from that specific episode out on Twitter, which gives me a nice, consistent, big feed reach and always a link to the podcast. On YouTube, I have the same kind of thing. When I have a new YouTube video come out, I have the title of it come out with a watch link, and then I have the thumbnail image come out for that video also. Then I've got another setup where when I publish a new video on YouTube, I put a short preview link of that video onto Twitter so that it is native video on Twitter. That way people can actually start watching the video directly on Twitter. Then there's a link to the video course and to YouTube, and that is done. My video editor puts those up directly when he uploads to YouTube. When you've got all this automation, plus I do some live streams using Restream for gaming, I put those directly on Twitter also. Thus, I hardly ever actually write a manual post on Twitter, and yet my automation, I am consistently posting something on Twitter without even having to put any effort into it. Then I get thousands of impressions in the last 24 hours. Thus, on Twitter, I highly recommend you use photo posts instead of link posts, and I highly recommend you use Zapier to automate the majority of your tweets using wherever else you create content. Then any manual tweet you write on top of that, you want to make sure to put hashtags in it as well on relevant subjects. You can put a location or a GIF, but if you can create content and if you want to create content for Twitter, I recommend do little short videos for Twitter. Those have a great chance to get good engagement, and you can even do live streams using Periscope on Twitter. Now, things I recommend avoiding on Twitter, I got almost all of my followers using follow back. I do not recommend that. Don't do that. It's a waste of time and energy. It can mess your Twitter profile up, and I eventually ended up paying to unfollow all those people I had just followed with the hope they'd follow me back. Do not do follow for follow on Twitter. It's a big waste of everyone's time. On Twitter, you also can go really far with direct messages and responding to everyone who talks about you. I often will look through my notifications and see if anyone has done something like this. This Waku did so. What I go through and I hit the heart on here, then that gives some engagement. And this way I can see who's interacting with me. And then if someone has commented and I want to make a reply or heart a comment, that's pretty easy to do. So you want to keep up with your notifications on Twitter. You can also see who's engaging with you the most, and these might be people you want to get to know. You might want to see if someone is nice enough to like your tweets and retweet them. You might want to start following them also. For example, I see she just did, I just had a call with her. She's followed several of my tweets and retweeted, so I go follow her. Now that's an organic, natural follow. Thus, with Twitter, I've kept things pretty simple here for you on Twitter to see what you can do to increase your effectiveness on Twitter, and I hope this is useful for you.